My name is Lenise. I have a son. I'm from Virginia, but grew up in Alabama. Well, between Alabama and Tennessee. I've been a flight attendant for the past 8 years. I am currently in school for aeronautical science, and I recently started the nonprofit organization called Love Me Enough to Lead. Well, in 2016, my stepmom murdered my dad. My dad and I didn't have a relationship until I turned 23, and we became really close. And so after that situation, I was really broken. I was lost.
I can imagine.
The best to my ability, I can explain it as, you know how you get a tooth pulled in the dry socket? I literally felt like a shell walking around with something missing from my heart, and it felt like a dry socket in my chest. And so I finally broke down after me trying to fill that void from drinking and partying. I finally broke down and just prayed. My dad would always tell me, pray about it. And so I finally broke down and prayed, and I just started to ask God, what have I done so bad in life that you have to do this to me? Why are you punishing me? What's going on? And that was the first time I heard him talk to me and tell me, you told me that I could use you, but in order for that, I had to change some things about you. So now you know how to care for people. You know how to have compassion and give compassion. And um, it started there. After that, I started to just discover, I've been in relationships that were really abusive, but I never realized it was a cycle until I started to inquire, what is it in me that causes me to react a certain way? And when I started to ask those hard questions to myself, more started coming out. And it was like I just started ripping the band aid off of every wound that I had. And I just got placed on a journey. And so I started to ask God, with everything I've been through, why am I still here? What is it that I'm supposed to do? And He led me into the nonprofit world and learning all that I can about domestic violence. Um, just to educate myself better on how to care, and not only care but how to understand people and their walks, and how we all don't understand the actual healing process because everyone isn't introduced to it, because it's easier to just avoid asking yourself questions because it keeps hidden things hidden. 45% of domestic violence cases are men. However, I feel like society puts such a title or meaning
Yes.
behind what a man is supposed to be in society
Yes.
that no one thinks that, oh, a man can't get abused. And I hear that a lot until people actually hear, well, I lost my dad to this.
Yes.
And my dad was a really strong man, and he never made a move without praying about it. And so I can recall November 2015, he started to tell my sister and I think we're going to end up divorcing. I don't know what's going to happen. And he started to just record the different situations that would happen. And in April of 2016, he finally just said it, we're going to divorce. And that's what led her into what she did.
Wow.
And he tried seeking help, and the communities turned their backs, like, well, that's going to be abandonment if you do this, or you can't. And so, one of the last conversations me and him had, he actually told me, I would rather her do something to me than to hurt my kids, because I had younger brothers living in the home with them. And when he said that, it was like he was pretty much willing to lay his life down, knowing that his kids were going to have a shot at life. And that was actually another one of our first conversations, because I had never been around her enough to know about her.
Okay.
But I could tell from family that she wasn't really welcome.
Okay.
And when me and him sat when I was 23 and had a conversation, he pretty much apologized, like, you were my first kid. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't there how I should have been, but I want to make that right. And I was receptive to it.
Beautiful.
And I asked him about her, and he just said, I know you've heard things, but if I wasn't able to show my older kids this is how a family setting should be. There's a little shot for my younger kids, and I want to
Yes.
give them that because they deserve that. And I didn't hold it against them because there's something about
Mhm.
having so much anger or
Mhm.
animosity towards someone and you just hearing them say, I'm sorry. I don't
Mm.
have an excuse. I don't
Mhm.
have a reason. I can't change the past, but I can fix now. And I was blown away, but it was like I was really receptive to it, and I'm glad that I got that moment because a lot of people don't
Don't
get
get
that
that moment.
opportunity, right?
That's beautiful.
I see it being an umbrella organization for like almost like a self healing network
Mm.
because one thing that okay, for everyone who works with me,
Yes.
you know, when you go and apply to a normal job, they would expect to see a resume. Well, in my time of fasting and prayer, God pretty much told me I don't want the qualified to be in this. So anybody who
Mm.
comes to work with me must have a personal mission statement. Because
Mm.
with that, it helps me help you to where you're trying to go and lets me know what we can create together.
Beautiful.
And we created a 7-step program
Okay.
that goes into the healing. And when I speak to people about domestic violence, people are like, well, what does healing yourself has to do with it? And my personal experience and belief about that is when you are truly focused on healing yourself, your awareness raises and it teaches you that there's always going to be a fight to choose yourself.
Yes.
And knowing that it makes me want to help people understand that about themselves. So having loved me enough to leave, that's the organization. We're going to be trying to branch off into the government aspect to where we can become an entity to the government where we can take on families. And we're working on getting our first home so that we can actually remove people and place them in a more peaceful atmosphere.
Mm.
Um, we also have a ministry aspect of everything
Okay.
with the hashtag I Speak DV.
Mhm.
And that is more so along the lines of ministry because that falls into the category that, you know, I understand that it's not just flesh and blood that we're dealing with.
Yes.
But if you can't
Mhm.
speak for yourself, I can speak on your behalf, whether
Yes.
it's praying for you, with you, or, you know, helping you understand the situation at hand. It was a lot of me finding myself because if I did not know who I was or my identity, it would be so easy for me to go out and say, hey, I'm going to help you, and what's going on with you getting into me. And now it's like the ship is sinking. But
I like that.
I had to really learn who I am because I know who I am and I know how to continue to create the peace around me. It's
Mhm.
easier for me to say, hey, you know what? Your crown is slipping, but I can't carry your cross. I can't carry the burdens. I don't know the hurt or pain, but I can shine your crown and fix it on your head to make sure you're still moving with me. Any form of abuse is not tolerated, and always remember that just because the abuse isn't familiar to you does not mean you have to tolerate it.
Mm.
And if you don't have a starting point, hashtag I speak DV, and I have no problem with speaking for you, with you, helping as much as I can. I'm here. I'm available.